Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Dom Harvey Podcast. This is sponsored by Southern Cross Health Insurance. It's called Out of the Blue because health complications always come when you least expect them. Out of the blue. And our guest today is someone that has experienced this firsthand. Some unexpected complications with his hip. Out of the blue. Ryan, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me, Dom.
This is cool. This is something very different. First time we've done this on the Dom Harvey Podcast. So first of all, let's start at the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What are you studying? Cool. What do you like to do outside of uni?
Yeah, so hello, my name's Ryan. I'm originally Palestinian, but I've been living in New Zealand for 6 years now. Really loving it over here. While I'm studying, I'm currently in my final year, actually final placement of physiotherapy. So hopefully could be qualified in the next few months. So I'm very, very looking forward to that. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. I'm a big fan of physios. I'm a distance runner, so they're a big part of my life.
So I'm sure I'll see you in the practice in the future.
At some stage. Yeah. And you'll ask me on my return visit if I've done the exercises, and I will lie and say yes.
Oh, yeah. I'll pretend that you've done that too.
I appreciate that. Yeah. What age did you become a Southern Cross Health Insurance member?
I've been a Southern Cross member since I was really young. My parents have kind of always reinforced that we need this just in case things took a turn for the worst. So, yeah, I think a big part of Southern Cross was making sure that you always have something that has your back or someone that has your back. That was a big part of it. For why my parents reinforced it. So
yeah, and it's paid off big time for you already, and we'll get into that. But is this something that's quite common or really uncommon for people your age? Like in your friend group, is anyone else insured?
I think most of them have health insurance. There's obviously a select few who we haven't swayed, but I think most of us do, and I think they understand because a lot of my friend group are physio students or are healthcare in some way, shape, or form. So their health literacy is all very good, and they understand the importance of having it. So yeah, it's quite a common thing amongst, I think, people who have gone through the degree and have an adequate amount of health literacy. I think that's a common theme around us.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Now, you're clearly someone that values physical fitness. What does a typical week look like for you in terms of your training and staying active?
Yeah, a typical week is, on a good week where I'm not feeling lazy, I do love the gym. I do love going on hikes, do love just doing outdoor stuff. I do love spending a lot of time with my family. We do this. We have every night, it's a theme. We all make a pot of tea and we or sit and talk about our day, and it's the small things I really enjoy. But I also, physical fitness is something that's really important to me, especially after everything that's just happened. I think it's important that we move, and I don't know, I'm just not someone who can sit still, as I'm sure you could tell me just rocking my legs this entire time.
I'm the same. Yeah. I'm the same. Yeah. Yeah, what does exercise mean to you? What does it bring to your life?
Yeah, I think exercise is basically, for me, I think exercise is a part of it, but movement is, we need to really count our blessings on that. Movement is such a thing that's so undervalued, and once you've lost it, like, yes, you can regain it, but it becomes a little more difficult. I think for me, exercise is just a way to kind of, it's a way for me to work on myself, a way to address your holistic well-being. That's a big part of it. Yes, your physical health improves. Yes, your squats improve, your deadlifts, all that type of stuff. But also, it's how that improves your mental health and how that improves your everyday life. And I think that's something that's so important with exercise, is making sure that, or at least having that improvement in your mental health. That connection for me has been a game changer. Yeah.
I agree. It's not something that's talked about often enough. Like, everyone knows about the benefits of exercise from the neck down, but the mental health benefits associated with exercise are just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something, I feel like it's not something you can know, but you won't really understand until you've been in the gym or been exercising or been doing kind of your physical hobby. You don't understand kind of the impact it has on your well-being in lots of different aspects. You just feel, you wake up feeling a little better. You wake up feeling less brain fog. You wake up actually wanting to get out of your bed, you know? It's really, it's always something that you hear people say, oh yeah, you should go to the gym. It's good for your physical health. It's good for your mental health. But once you actually realize that rhetoric is actually correct, it actually does make significant changes in your life.
Yeah, the self-esteem boost you get, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, getting sick sucks for anybody, but when you're a person that values and prioritises their physical health, it sucks even more, I think, when it's something that's taken away. How was your mental health over that time where you got unwell?
With my hip issues, I think it was progressive. That's what it was. Like, it just, once I noticed my physical health decreasing, I started noticing like, oh, I'm withdrawing from activities. I'm not doing things that I used to do. I'm not getting up as much as I used to. I'm not going to the gym, not having that motivation. It's kind of like, I felt like as my function deteriorated and as I started noticing the pain and debilitation a lot more, I started noticing that I was, it just started getting worse, the mental health. And I guess at that point, you kind of miss that you were able to just get up and run. You were able to just get up and go to the gym. And now I was finding like sitting to standing really painful. And every time I'd walk, I'd just get this ache in my hip and it would start locking and I'd start tripping over. And at the time I was like, I'm 20 years old. I'm not in my 80s, you know? So I think the effect it had on my mental health was quite significant, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah,
because the things that you would have taken for granted your entire life that suddenly you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
So what happened? How did it all begin?
I think it all began with me realizing in the gym that I could never squat as much as my mates. I know that it seems a bit funny to have that competition.
In terms of the amount of weight, or in terms of the depth?
In terms of the depth.
Okay.
My mates were always more flexible. It's like always this ongoing joke that I have no flexibility and all that stuff. And I think just over time, the more I went to the gym, the more I noticed like, okay, something isn't entirely right. And my hips just started hurt. Well, the left hip started hurting quite a lot over, I'd say 2023. That's probably when it started, when I started actually fully gymming properly, like frequently. And I think that the pain just progressively became worse and the amount I could tolerate became worse. And I'd say start of 2024, I started seeing the massive changes in, okay, wow, it's actually, why is it hard to get out of bed? And then over time, it just became more and more like, oh, why is walking hard? Why am I finding my squats getting worse so my mates are winning? You know, that type of thing. And I think it wasn't till I'd say mid 2024 when my physio was reassessing my left hip that he was like, okay, something's not right here. And I think that validation was huge, that, okay, that there's something not right. It's not just your brain. It's not just in your head. And that's when we went off for specialist opinion. And by that time of the specialist opinions, that's when my function had gotten to its worst. I just started, every time I'd go in a little, even jog for a second, the pain would just skyrocket and stay there. Or when I'd do a weird movement, or when I'd, you know, it was quite like, well, why am I moving so like unorthodox? It wasn't normal. That's what I was saying. I noticed it wasn't normal, and that's when I started, just every day became a chore to go and a walk. It became a chore to even get into the car and do those movements to get in and out of the car, and it was all just really painful. And eventually, once you get the validation that, okay, there is actually something wrong here, it's not mental, there's something we can actually do, that's when I feel like things started going back up, the trajectory started improving.
Yeah. How long do you think you were suffering in silence?
A lot of my mates won't say it was silence because, but yeah.
No, you know what I mean. Before seeking,
Yeah.
you know, some professional opinions.
Yeah, I think it was a good solid year because it was kind of like intermittent in I'd say in around 2023 time.
Okay.
Around 2024 it became constant. I think there was a solid year where I wasn't really doing much, and yeah, I just think it took a turn for the worst. So it took me quite a while, I'd say, to get it checked out because I was like, I'm young, I'm fit. Surely it will go away. Surely when you're younger, your healing abilities are better. That type of thing. But it just actually didn't get better. And I remember one of the surgeons saying, "Look, man, it's not going to get better by itself. This is something that needs to be treated." Like I think that really hit home, and I was like, "Oh, so if I just left it, I would have just been in the same boat as I am in now." It's kind of what the thought process was at that time.
And the diagnosis, that must have been a relief.
Oh, yeah.
If I was you, I'm probably projecting here, but my mind would have been just going crazy. I would have been like Googling symptoms, and that always takes you down a very dark and dangerous hole.
Yeah, I was Googling nonstop, going back to my lecture slides. I was even using ChatGPT to Google my symptoms, like ChatGPT for my symptoms. And yeah, I think a big thing of being a healthcare student and actually knowing about conditions, a big thing of it is catastrophizing. And catastrophizing, once you're in that feedback loop from hell, you're stuck in it. So I feel like I kept telling myself, oh yeah, it could be a fracture, it could be this, but actually I needed someone to look at it. So that's when once I found myself in that loop, I was able to take a step back and be like, okay, that maybe we need a professional opinion, not some, at the time, not some third-year student who's just read things off a textbook kind of thing.
I think that catastrophizing thing is human nature.
Yeah, it definitely
across
is.
the board. So what were you diagnosed with? What's the name of the condition?
So I initially had a labral tear in my hip. So labrum's just kind of like that shock-absorbing gel-like structure in your hip, and it just kind of stops the shock from being transmitted to kind of like your bones and stuff. And then I also had some cartilage damage. We call it, medically, it's a chondral flap lesion, but I also had something called femoroacetabular impingement, which is just like a bone growth on your hip from like repetitive traumas, or can be from birth, I'm pretty sure. And imagine my supervisors listening to me on this being like, that's so wrong. So I'm really trying here.
You're sounding really knowledgeable.
I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Hopefully you don't fail your papers because of this podcast.
Yeah, I hope not. Surely they'll understand. It's off hours. But there's that. And I also, I ended up getting my labrum repaired. I ended up getting a debridement just to wash out of like the damaged pieces, and I also had an osteoplasty where they basically reshaped my hip so it can have the top of the hip bone, so it has better movement. And I honestly, the left hip's probably better than the right hip right now, which is crazy considering what's happened.
Yeah. So why physio? Where did your passion for physiotherapy come from? Was there a moment or experience that led you down that career path?
I think that a big one was my experience with that. Growing up, I had like these dizziness, balance problems, and I went and saw a vestibular physio, which is like, nobody knows what they do, but
I've literally never heard. What's the V word?
Vestibular. It's like your inner ear stuff.
Never heard that word before in my life.
Yeah, it's like your inner ear disorders. I went and got treated by one, and I saw how just like, honestly, the technology, I can't remember like specifically what the names of the technology were, but there were these technologies that could give them like real-time feedback on what I was doing, and I just found that like so cool to use that technology, and I thought in the future how cool I'd look if I was using that. But also I think how the exercises they gave me were just a simple thing: put your thumb there and kind of put your eye there and just shake your head while looking at it, stabilize on that. And I just saw how that actually completely shifted my quality of life. Yeah, it was arduous, the whole process, but I just saw how like I became better. I was able to go to school without feeling, well, like crap basically, and I was able to go and I was able to run and do all that sort of stuff. So I think at that point I saw how it improved my quality of life, and I think for me it wasn't about curing things for people. It wasn't about coming up with this and being in a lab pouring potions together. For me it was, what can I do? What relationships can I build that can help people get back to what they were doing, or get back or get to do what their goal is. I think for me that was why physio. Medicine was too hard, so I had to find an in between as well. I think just to put that on there.
Oh, it's a really cool occupation in the respect that you are literally like improving someone's quality of life.
Yeah.
And unlike a lot of jobs, like when you lose a patient or you stop seeing them, it's a good thing because it means the job's done.
Yeah, I know. It definitely is a good thing. And I've had experiences on placement where you've just helped people get to the bathroom when previously they were just stuck in the bed, and even something as simple as that is like just helping them walk up to the bathroom. That is so rewarding, and you see the look in their eyes when they've done something they haven't been able to do. And I think that kind of the basis of our species is being social butterflies, and I think that plus my personality and plus with what I've experienced, I felt like it was the perfect role for me. And especially seeing post-operatively with my hip and everything, seeing how much my physio helped me and how good my function is now. And I think seeing what he's done is it just further reinforces what I want to do. I want to be able to get someone from walking and tripping over because the hip keeps locking and just being in all that pain to, wow, they're actually doing hops, they're actually doing jumps, they're actually going on hikes. I don't know if I mentioned already, but I went on a hike the other day. It was Karangahake, and I think I mentioned I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and there is a tunnel there. Eh?
So you literally saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I just clocked that. But yeah, we did walk in the tunnel. Though. Yeah. It was a cool time. But I remember walking. We went on one of the mountain walks, and I just remember being at the top, like, wow, like physio played a massive role. What I'm doing is going to get people from literally hobbling around to walking up mountains. And I just think it was so surreal in that moment when I was just looking out at the view. I was actually frightened as because I don't like heights, but I also was looking out at the view being like, I wouldn't have been able to do this a year ago. Like this completely, that wouldn't even be out of the question. If my mate, before they even finished the sentence of, do you want to go on a hike, it would have been no. And now I've walked up 3 hours. I know it's not the hardest walk in the world, right? It's no like Mount Ruapehu walk, but for me, that was so life-changing, just doing that walk up the mountain. So that's kind of like where my passion came, that you can get people to doing things that they never usually used to do, or that they're finding difficult to do, Through your training as a physio, were you familiar with the condition? Like, is it something that... Oh, you'd studied it? Yeah, that's why it was weird. That's why it's weird. I literally remember the lecture where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, it's an unfortunate condition. Like, I'm just reading through it and the type of operation. And it kind of just goes over your mind. It's kind of this weird reality when you're like, oh, I am what that lecture's saying, or I am what that condition is. That's a thing when you go through any healthcare degrees. Like, you look at all these different conditions and you never think that you're going to have it. You never think that you're going to suffer like that, if you know what I mean. You never... Yes,
it's always someone else.
Yeah, you're always thinking of someone else. But then when you actually have that condition, you're like, it's such a trippy feeling. It was weird. So I actually knew the condition. I was quite well versed in the pathology. We call it pathologies. I understood it, but like, you don't think about usually you're just like, okay, this person might have this, and this symptom, X, Y, and Z. But then with me, I'm like, oh, I have X, Y, and Z condition. And that was, it was a really weird experience to actually feel the symptoms that they were feeling, because their empathy changes then. So now when I see someone who's having hip problems, their empathy is always going to be different now because of what I've gone through.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Deeper level of understanding.
Yeah.
So what role did your Southern Cross Health Insurance play in your journey?
Honestly, the way that all the healthcare professionals interacted with each other, the way that they funded the surgery was a really, that was a game changer, because surgeries aren't cheap. Like nobody ever claimed that they were. They aren't cheap. So I think them helping out by funding it actually just got the ball rolling, knowing that, okay, well, who's going to pay this massive bill? It's not going to be us. So I think that was the first step, but also kind of the care that the providers, that there was just so much passion in what they do, the providers. And Southern Cross helped with post-operative physio as well. So like it was a big part of my journey, and that's why I was happy to come and talk about it. You know?
Such a relief.
Oh, massive.
Yeah. And how quickly were you able to get, scans, see specialists, and get the surgery done?
I think it was relatively quick. The scans, like X-rays and stuff, they were quite easy to get. You could kind of like just referral walk in. The MRI does require specialists to do it. So yes, the wait was still a few weeks, but people who have my condition wait a year or sometimes a really long time to get the appointment, to get those MRI scans and all that stuff. So it's the fact that process was sped up for me. I think that made my life a lot easier in the long term as well. And also just timing wise, when the hip started getting really painful and like debilitating, that's when first placement, the year nearly started again. So there was the question of, am I going to be able to go and do what I'm passionate about, go do my final year, get my degree, or am I going to have to take a year off to focus on recovery? And all the Southern Cross providers made that process easier. It's why I'm here today, to be honest. Yeah.
I can tell how grateful you are.
Yeah, it's so grateful. It really, not everyone gets that opportunity. So I feel really lucky to have been able to go and do what I want to do, and I want other people to have that ability as well. That's the thing.
Are any or many of your mates the same age insured?
I think most of them are insured. It's just I think some people don't really have the understanding of what health insurance is. It's immediately seen as like this taboo, it's expensive. But if you kind of look at the pros and the cons, I feel like for me, I know I have a bit of bias towards that, but for me, the pros and the cons, the pros outweigh them completely. Like it was just such a handy experience, and the fact that my quality of life now is better than it was then, and they facilitated this journey. I do recommend it, but yeah, most of my friends do have it, which is thankful.
Are all your friends like, yeah, Ryan, we get it. You stop going on about it.
Yeah,
are you that guy in the friend group now?
Yeah, honestly, just that guy who's like, okay, we got it. You had the operation. Why is it still being brought up?
Yeah. Okay, Dad, leave us alone.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
Have you thought about how different the experience could have been without Southern Cross Health Insurance?
Yeah, given that way too much thought, a lot of like sleepless nights went into when I was like, am I going to be able to get this operation or not? Because I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can function with this much pain and debilitation anymore. I think if I didn't have Southern Cross, I definitely would have missed this year of placement. I've had to prolong the degree for a year and then not had something to work with. I think for me, it's very important that I have something to work towards, a big overarching goal, whether that's uni or back in the day, whether that was school or or in the future, whether that's getting good at the job and progressing towards things. So I feel like that goal wouldn't have been able to be achieved without like Southern Cross's intervention. I really don't think so. So yeah, I definitely would have just been at home, my quality of life would have been better from the operation, but it's hard to say what would happen, but I don't think it would have been as good of an outcome as it is now. Yeah. And
you're back at the gym now, doing all the things you love?
Yeah, I'm happily back at the gym. I did a hike the other week. Don't know if you know the Karangahake Gorge.
Oh, do I know it? Yeah. By Paeroa. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, I did that walk. I know it's not the hardest walk in the world, but for me, like, I remember saying to my two mates when we were on there, I was saying, I'm actually doing this. Like a year ago from now, that wouldn't even have been I wouldn't even have like given it thought to do it. And here I am actually going up the mountain. It was honestly that was so different. And then I think for me it was that this actually worked. Everything worked out well. And there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, while I was walking up, I was not in pain in my hip. I was like mostly keeping up with them. Yeah, mountain walks are tiring, so sure.
Ironically, in the gorge you're talking about, there actually is a tunnel with a light at the end.
Oh, ironically, yeah. I didn't even clock that. Yeah, we actually walked through it. Yeah.
So you literally did see the light at the end of the tunnel.
There actually was a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And what about your squats? How's you back doing leg day at the gym? Must be nice for a while having an excuse not to do leg day.
Yeah. Leg day was, nobody likes leg day,
No.
but no, it was weird for me because now leg day's become my favorite day because I neglected it so much last year to the point where I'm like, I can't lift a heavy squat anymore, can't do that. But now it's my favorite day. I'd go do it every day if I could, which is unpopular opinion. But it's just when you're deprived of it for so long, you start being like, oh yeah, it's actually not that bad and all that. It's not,
a new appreciation for it.
It is. Like, even for something as awful as leg day, you start being like, you're not so bad. It's not so bad.
Has this experience changed how you view your own health?
I think so, yeah. I think it kind of showed. I think we had a little chat about it beforehand that like exercise actually has such a positive influence, not just on rehab but everyday life. It's made sure I do my physio exercises. Yeah, I know.
No one does the physio exercises.
I know nobody does, but it actually made me want to do them constantly. And now every time I get an exercise, I make sure that I'm doing it. And I think it just showed me that movement was a blessing. It like there's a lot of things to appreciate in the world, but the fact that we're able to move, the fact that we're able to kind of just do small things, get up and get a glass of water, it just made me appreciate every small thing in my life because I saw how much it changed. Can't imagine someone who's in a worse situation than I was, and like it just makes you really count your blessings. Like I've got up out of bed to like go up to the bathroom and to go get water, and it's that not everyone can do that. People require like full on support to do it, require full assistance to do those things. So I'm very grateful for movement. So like the message is continue moving, even small amounts is the message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's still quite fresh for you, but yeah, you want to hang on to that gratitude, eh?
Yeah.
And never forget this feeling you've got now.
Yeah. I want to be I want to be one of those 90-year-old guys that are just walking around without any aids. It's kind of like where I want to be in the future. I want to make sure I prioritize my physical activity because it's not just good for your physical health. Your whole psychosocial well-being gets better just from physical exercise as well. And yeah, that whole concept of kind of, te whara tapawha, that whole holistic well-being is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way about my running. I mean, all along, all through my life and all through your life as well, we've always been aware of the benefits of exercise from the neck down.
Yeah.
But the mental health benefits,
Yeah.
incredible.
It's game changers for your mental health if you can get up and move as much as you can.
What you've been through the last couple of years, how has it shaped your future as a physio? Like, do you think you'll approach patients differently now?
Yeah, I think obviously I have to get some experience first. But I think it will just make me believe in what they're saying and have empathy towards what they're saying, that even if I don't have the same exact condition or the same exact pain or problems in my life, I can take a moment to sit and empathize with them and show them that, like, yeah, I do get what you're saying. Something similar has happened to me and I've turned out well, and I'm not the most athletic or most sporty person ever. And I had such a good outcome. It just changes. It will change how you see people and how you see that it's not just a condition or a problem. It's the person behind the problem. That what is the condition? What is it causing? Are they not able to do their everyday activities? Are they not able to do their hobbies? That type of thing. So it makes you see them as a whole person rather than as just a condition. That's what this whole experience has shown me. Yeah,
even though it's an awful thing to go through, it does kind of, in a way, put you at a position of advantage over your peers, eh?
Yeah.
Having gone through this. Yeah, pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. Yeah. Obviously, I would prefer not to be put under anesthesia, but no, it definitely does. It gives you kind of like puts you in their shoes. That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, that empathy piece that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And what's next for you? Yeah, professionally and personally?
Yeah. I think professionally what's next for me is seeing where once I finish the degree and once I get registration, I was going to say if I'm going to be positive, once I get registration and start working for a bit, I think, but next for me is, I think it's going to be a long shot. I know a lot of my mates are going to be laughing when they hear this, but I do want to do a marathon. Maybe, hopefully 2026 can be, we'll start with a half. I'll be realistic with it. But I think to do a half marathon is probably my next thing. I think that's a good goal to go up to. And even just small things like getting into summer footy again, getting more time in the gym, getting more time doing hikes. I think I'm going to make the best of my movement and best of like the blessings I've got with my body.
Yeah, a life without restrictions. How good.
Yeah, I know.
And finally, what would your message be for anyone who thinks they're too young, too fit to worry about health insurance?
Yeah. I think if you can, these are conversations you can have with, like, if we're talking like young people who can't help, like, support themselves, who aren't self-sufficient, I think it's definitely something that is a conversation you should have with your caregivers, because it just, your world's your avenue, and if you have resources to kind of take those different turns, I think definitely take it. And to people who, I guess my age, a bit kind of young adults, if you're self-sufficient, I know that it's like expensive, but also at the end of the day, like, your health comes first, your physical, mental, like everything comes before other things. It's not a material. I think people view health insurance as a materialistic thing. It's really not really. It's a very, I feel like it's a necessity. I feel to make sure you're well equipped for the worst case scenario, for if it does happen.
Yeah. I'd say instead of asking yourself, can I afford it? Ask yourself, can you afford not to have it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really nice way to think of it.
Actually, the Southern Cross Health Insurance can use that. That can be their new line.
Yeah. I hope they're taking notes. So.
Hey, this has been great. It's been really nice connecting with you today, and I can see there's been a couple of occasions where I've seen your eyes light up, and it's where you're talking about the physical activity that you do, and it's also where you talk about work. So I think you're going to be a fantastic physio.
Oh, hopefully.
And I'm pleased that thanks to having Southern Cross Health Insurance, you're back doing the things you love again as well. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on anyway to talk about it.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. What are we doing now? Should we go to the gym?
Yeah.
Do some squats.
If you want to, we can go do a leg day.
I'm going to make you go deep.
Yeah.
We're going to go parallel to the floor.
Oh, no. As long as there's no pop again, I think I'm happy.
I appreciate it. Ryan, you're a good man.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you.